My best friend told my pregnant girlfriend in French at my bachelor party that idiot doesn't even know he is raising someone else's child. So I waited until the rehearsal dinner and responded in perfect French in front of everyone. I am Brendan, 28, software engineer making decent money in tech. Been with my girlfriend Celeste for 3 years. Got engaged 2 months ago. She is 26, works in marketing, and just told me she is pregnant. I was over the moon about becoming a dad, bought her a Maybach S-Class as an early push present, because I wanted her to feel like a queen carrying our child. My best friend Damien has been my boy since college, 8 years of friendship, and I asked him to be my best man at the wedding without even thinking twice. Investment banker, makes good money. Recently got engaged to his girlfriend Sarah, who works in PR. The kind of guy who always had my back, or so I thought. Here is something nobody knows about me. I speak fluent French. My grandfather Claude raised me from 6 to 12 when my parents went through a messy divorce and custody battle. He was from Lyon, and French was basically my first language during those years before I went back to live with my mom. But I have always been self-conscious about my accent, so I never mention it. People just assume I am your typical American guy who knows maybe 5 words in French from high school. Last Saturday was my bachelor party. Nothing crazy. Just 6 close friends at this upscale lounge downtown. We kept it classy since Celeste was pregnant, and I didn't want her worrying about strip clubs or whatever. Around 10 p.m., Celeste stopped by to say hi before heading to her own bachelorette thing with the girls. She looked incredible in this black dress, and seeing her with that little bump starting to show made me feel like the luckiest guy alive. She was driving the Maybach. I had given her the keys permanently since she loved that car so much. Made me proud watching her pull up in something that nice. Damien immediately went over to chat with her when she walked in. They were laughing about something standing close, but I didn't think much of it. They had known each other almost as long as he had known me, so they were comfortable together. She gave everyone hugs goodbye and said she would see us at the rehearsal dinner. I will walk you to the car, Damien offered. Make sure you get out safe. That is sweet of you, she said, and they headed toward the exit together. I was talking to Griffin about work stuff when they headed toward the exit together. I watched them through the window standing by the Maybach, talking closely. Damien had his hand on her lower back in what looked like a protective gesture. I figured he was just being careful with his best friend's pregnant girlfriend. After a few minutes, they came back inside. I had gone to the restroom and was walking back when I saw them by the bar area. The music had died down between songs, and their voices carried clear across the room. They were speaking French, probably thinking nobody around them would understand. That feeling in the Maybach last night was incredible. Damien said in perfect French, leaning close to her ear, "Should we do it again tonight?" Celeste laughed and linked her arm through his. "Okay, but be gentle because I am still pregnant," she replied. Also in French. My blood went cold. I stopped walking, hidden behind a pillar, praying I would misunderstood. "That idiot doesn't even know he is raising someone else's child," Damien said, still in French, grinning at her. The room started spinning. My ears were ringing so loud I could barely hear anything else. They were talking about sleeping together in my car, and my child, the baby I had been so excited about, wasn't mine. I forced myself to walk back slowly, trying to keep my face normal. By the time I reached them, they had separated and were acting completely casual. "Hey, what were you two talking about?" I asked. Surprised my voice came out steady. "Oh, just some congratulations in French," Celeste said brightly. Damien studied abroad in Paris. Remember? He was telling me congrats on the baby in a fancy way. "Yeah, man," Damien added, clapping me on the shoulder. "Just telling her congrats in French. Gotta practice my skills somehow, right?" I nodded and smiled, but inside, I was dying. They had no idea I would understood every word. They thought they were so clever, having their affair right in front of me in a language they assumed I couldn't speak. "That is really sweet of you," I managed to say. "Celeste, you should probably head home. Don't want you staying out too late with the baby and all." She kissed my cheek and said she loved me. Damien hugged me and said he couldn't wait for the wedding. I watched them walk out together, Damien's hand on her back again, and felt like I was going to throw up. The rest of the night was a blur. I made excuses about feeling sick and left early. Griffin asked if I was okay, but I just said I had food poisoning or something. I couldn't tell anyone what I had heard, not yet. I drove home in silence, my mind racing. How long had this been going on? When did it start? And the baby? When was it actually conceived? I sat in my driveway for 20 minutes before going inside. Celeste wasn't home yet, probably still with Damien somewhere, doing God knows what in the car I had bought her. The worst part was realizing how stupid I had been. All those late nights she said she was working. All those times Damien couldn't hang out because he was busy with work. The way they looked at each other sometimes that I had dismissed as just friendly familiarity. I had been paying for my own betrayal without even knowing it. But now I knew, and I had 5 days until the wedding to figure out exactly what I was going to do about it. Update 1. Cannot sleep. So figured I would update while everything's fresh. Been 3 days since the bachelor party and I feel like I am losing my mind. First thing I did was check the timeline. Celeste told me she got pregnant in early February. I was in Seattle for work, the 2nd of February through 8th. A full week. She said she was staying home with morning sickness. But now I am wondering what she was really doing, or who she was doing it with. The due date she gave me puts conception right in that window when I was gone. Makes sense now why she was so eager for me to take that trip. Even though she usually hates when I travel for work, I have been watching them both differently since Saturday. Yesterday at the rehearsal dinner venue walkthrough, I caught little things I had missed before. The way Damien knows exactly how she likes her coffee. How he automatically steadies her elbow when she is walking in heels. Small stuff that looks caring to everyone else, but now feels like intimate knowledge. The hardest part is pretending everything's normal. Celeste keeps talking about our future, about baby names, about how excited she is to be married to me. Every word feels like a knife. She has been driving the Maybach every day, and I keep thinking about what they did in it. Last night she asked why I seemed distant, said I had been quiet since the bachelor party and was everything okay. I told her I was just nervous about the wedding, which isn't technically a lie. She cuddled up to me and said she loved me so much that she couldn't wait to start our family together. Our family with a baby that isn't mine. I called out sick from work today and did something that probably makes me an asshole, but I needed to know the truth. I drove by Damien's place during lunch. The Maybach was parked in his driveway. They think they are so smart, but they made one mistake. They assumed I was too dumb to understand them. I have been thinking about Saturday night nonstop. The way Damien said that idiot when talking about me, like I was some joke they shared. My best friend of 8 years, the guy I chose to stand beside me at my wedding, calling me an idiot for not knowing he was sleeping with my girlfriend and getting her pregnant. Here is what really gets to me. The Maybach was supposed to be a gesture of love. I spent months saving for it, researching which one she would like best, imagining her face when I surprised her with it. Instead, it became their affair mobile. They are literally screwing each other in the gift I bought to celebrate what I thought was our child. The wedding's in 2 days, 150 guests, $50 K in deposits. My whole family flying in from across the country. Part of me wants to just call it off now, but another part of me wants to see how far they will take this charade. I keep thinking about my grandfather Claude. He always told me the most important thing about speaking someone's language was knowing when to listen and when to speak. Sometimes, Brendan, he would say in his thick accent, you learn more by staying quiet than by talking. Griffin came over tonight with beer and pizza. He could tell something was wrong but didn't push. Just sat with me watching the game, being a good friend. Made me realize how different real friendship looks from whatever Damien and I had. He mentioned his friend Marcus, who does video work, said he would be happy to document our rehearsal dinner if we wanted something special. Something like that, I said. Cold feet are normal. Man, but Celeste's great. You guys are solid. I almost laughed, or cried. Instead, I just nodded and took another sip of beer. That is when I got an idea. I wanted everyone to see exactly who they really were. Tomorrow's the rehearsal dinner. 50 people, including both sets of parents, the wedding party, and close family. Damien's giving a speech as best man. Celeste's maid of honor is doing a toast. Everyone's going to talk about love and friendship and new beginnings. I have been working on my own speech too. Been practicing my French pronunciation, making sure I get every word exactly right. Because tomorrow night, I am not going to be the quiet guy who listens anymore. Tomorrow night, I am going to let everyone know exactly what I learned from staying silent. Update 2. Had to take a few days off work to deal with the aftermath. You guys aren't going to believe what happened at the rehearsal dinner. So Friday night, the whole wedding party gathered at this nice restaurant downtown. Both families, all the groomsmen and bridesmaids, about 50 people total. Everyone's in a great mood, toasting the happy couple, talking about how perfect everything's going to be. Earlier that week, I had reached out to Marcus Griffin's videographer friend, told him I wanted to document the rehearsal dinner for a surprise video gift. What I didn't mention was that Marcus had studied in France and spoke fluent French. Griffin had told me that months ago. I explained my situation and asked if he would help me catch them in their lies. Celeste looked beautiful in this blue dress that showed off her bump. She kept touching my arm, telling people how lucky she was to have found her soulmate. Damien was playing his role perfectly too, talking about how long we had been friends, how happy he was for us, how excited he was to be my best man. Even mentioned how Sarah, his girlfriend, couldn't make it tonight because she was working late on a client crisis. The acting was impressive. Really, if I didn't know what I knew, I would have believed every word. After dinner, Marcus started doing individual interviews with the wedding party, asked each person to say something special to the bride and groom. When he got to Damien, he had this brilliant idea. "Hey, I heard you speak French," Marcus said to Damien. "That is so romantic. Could you say something to the bride in French for the video? Something beautiful about love and marriage?" Damien's eyes lit up. Perfect opportunity to show off. And he figured nobody would understand anyway. Celeste was standing next to me, beaming, probably thinking this was so thoughtful and cultured. "Of course," Damien said, looking directly at Celeste. Then, in perfect French, he said, "I will miss you in bed tonight." A few people went obus thinking it was something romantic. Celeste blushed and giggled, then responded in French, "Be careful, my love. We cannot be too obvious." Marcus kept filming, nodding like this was beautiful. My parents looked confused but charmed. Celeste's mom had tears in her eyes thinking this was such a touching moment. I let it go on for about 30 more seconds. Let them really dig their grave deep. Then I stood up. "Thank you, Damien, for that beautiful demonstration," I said clearly, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Now I know who the real father is." Then I switched to French. Perfect, fluent French with my grandfather's Lyon accent. "And Celeste, since you are more comfortable speaking honestly in French, let me respond in the same language. I have understood every word you two have said this week." The silence was deafening. You could hear forks dropping onto plates. Celeste went white as a sheet. Damien's mouth hung open like a fish. "Brendan," Celeste whispered, "you speak French?" "Since I was 6 years old, thanks to my grandfather Claude," I replied, still speaking French so everyone could hear the fluency. "Unlike you two, I don't lie about who I am." The restaurant had gone completely quiet. Other diners were staring. My mom looked like she was going to faint. I switched back to English for everyone else's benefit. "For those who don't speak French, my best friend just told my girlfriend he would miss sleeping with her tonight, and she called him, my love, and told him to be careful about being obvious." Damien started to say something, but I cut him off. "Oh, and Celeste, I had the Maybach towed this morning. Figured you two had enough rides in my car." Celeste started crying. "Brendan, please. I can explain actually." "You cannot," I said. "The wedding's cancelled." Promising to change, saying we could work this out, that the baby might still be mine. Damien tried to play damage control, saying it was all a misunderstanding, that the French was just a joke. A joke, like when you called me an idiot at my bachelor party for not knowing I am raising your child. My dad stood up then, looking like he wanted to punch someone. Marcus was still filming. I had asked him to capture everything. The bridesmaids were crying. Celeste's father grabbed her arm and started pulling her toward the exit. "We are leaving." Now, anyone who had travel plans. "I am sorry for the short notice," I announced to the room. Damien tried to follow me out, saying we needed to talk, that I was overreacting. I turned around in the parking lot. 8 years, Damien. 8 years of friendship, and you called me an idiot for not knowing you were sleeping with my girlfriend, Brendan. I never meant you meant every word. You just didn't think I was smart enough to understand them. I left them both standing in the parking lot and drove home. Spent the night calling vendors, canceling everything I could. Lost most of the deposits, but honestly, it was worth every penny to see their faces when they realized I would understood them all along. But here is the thing. Even though I was done with both of them, legally, I still had concerns about the baby. My lawyer explained that if there was any chance it was mine, I could potentially be on the hook for child support, and Celeste's family was already making noise about me having obligations to my child. So I decided to wait until after the birth to demand a paternity test. No point in risking Celeste's health with prenatal testing when I was already certain of the results. The crazy part: this whole disaster isn't even over yet, because this morning I got a call that is going to make everything so much worse for them. Final update. Been dealing with lawyers and family drama for the past month. Finally got time to close out this story. The paternity test confirmed what I already knew. Damien is the father. But getting to that point was a nightmare, because both families were pressuring me to do the right thing regardless of the results. Celeste's parents actually had the nerve to suggest I should raise the child anyway since we had been planning a family together. My own mother initially said maybe we could work through this as a family. It took showing them the video Marcus had captured of the French confessions, has been translated into English, to make everyone understand how calculated this betrayal was. The immediate aftermath was absolutely nuclear. Sarah, Damien's girlfriend, saw the video when it started circulating through our friend group. She dumped him that same weekend and kept the ring. Turns out she had had her own suspicions about him working late so often. Damien's investment firm caught wind of the scandal within 2 weeks. While they didn't fire him outright, they moved him to a back-office compliance role with a massive pay cut, going from managing client relationships to processing paperwork, and his salary dropped by more than half. Celeste lost her marketing job about 3 weeks later. Her company said they were restructuring, but everyone knew it was because several clients had seen the video and didn't want their brands associated with someone who had publicly lied and cheated. So there they were, both unemployed or underemployed, broke, and about to have a baby together. The passionate love story they thought they were living in secret became a financial nightmare in public. I reclaimed the Maybach from the impound lot and sold it within a week. Used that money plus what I got from selling the engagement ring to fund a solo trip to Europe. Spent 2 weeks in France, actually visiting the town where my grandfather grew up. Posted pictures from the French Riviera with captions, thanking him for teaching me that understanding people's true words is priceless. Griffin kept me updated on the ongoing disaster. Celeste and Damien's relationship completely fell apart within 6 weeks. Turns out having an affair together doesn't build a solid foundation for raising a child in poverty. Who could have predicted that? Celeste moved back in with her parents and took a part-time retail job. Word travels fast in that industry, especially when there is video evidence of your character. The friend group sided with me completely. Everyone who was at that rehearsal dinner saw exactly what kind of people they really were. Both Celeste and Damien are completely cut off from our entire social circle. I got promoted at work last month. Turns out handling personal crisis with dignity and professionalism impressed my boss. The raise helped cover the wedding losses, and then some. I am dating someone new now. A teacher who thinks the whole story is insane, but appreciates that I handled it strategically instead of violently. She has been helping me practice my French conversation skills, which has been nice. Celeste had the baby. I don't know if it is a boy or girl, and I don't care. Damien's paying child support but barely making ends meet with his reduced salary. They tried co-parenting for about 3 weeks before it devolved into constant fighting over money. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if my grandfather had never taught me French. Would I have married her? Raised another man's child? Spent years in a marriage built on lies? Instead, I dodged the biggest bullet of my life, because an old Frenchman taught his grandson to listen carefully and speak at the right moment. Language skills are worth more than you realize. The wedding venue actually asked for permission to use our story in their staff training about handling difficult situations. Marcus, the videographer, said it was the most dramatic footage he has ever captured. That is the whole story. Thanks for following this insanity.